Hello everyone, thank you for joining today's live session. So in last week we discussed about few tags. Let's go back and look at our slides, and or else let's come back again. Let's start from the beginning itself, what we have learned and all, just so that we could brush up the previous concepts that have been taught, so we can jump back to the next concepts. So the first thing which we went was with the heading tags, paragraph tags, div tag and a span tag. So we went with all these things, what a live server is, how we did with the text formatting. So we also saw how to display the text in bold, italic, with underline, strikeout, mark, superscript, subscript, quotations. Once we have done that, we went and applied styles for the paragraph, like aligned it at the center or put it as a background color. We dropped a shadow and so on. Hello, hi. So yes, and then we went with the list. It was ordered list and unordered list. So what an unordered list was, that we had symbols in front of the list items, so we got to know what that is. And also if you want to display the numbers, alphabets or Roman, then we go with ordered list. So now that you know what an ordered list is, unordered list is, we will go with the other concept, this DL and DT. I hope you guys had a small research for this tag. And once we were done with that, we went and looked at what an image tag is. So how to display different type of images. We got to know about what absolute path is and what a relative path is. And always make sure you go with the relative path technique itself. Never go with the absolute path, because see here, if you can see the location, it's like C users admin abc.jpg. Okay, what if there is no admin? Their name is something like a random person, for example Sid. Let's take Sid. What if it's like C hyphen users hyphen, or C slash users slash Sid slash abc.jpg? There might be a problem, right, displaying the image. Instead, what we do is we put the image in the same folder, or create a folder within the same directory just beside the file which we execute, and we give the relative path. It would be a easy way, and using this technique you can even execute in the live server or in the website as well. You can put it on the internet. So we displayed a simple image with width and height. The canvas, what this is like, once you get to know CSS, basic CSS, how to implement these styles and effects, then in Bootstrap we get to see what a canvas is. So when we for example, if you go to Bootstrap documentation, there you can directly look at the code. They will give you what a canvas is, how to display those things. Okay, I will explain them in detail, because what we are going to do today is we'll learn few other tags and we'll try to develop a website by ourselves. So that's why I'm making sure you guys get to know all these things which we are going to do before itself. Once you know which tags we are going to implement today, if you get to know about these tags, then we will go in detail later on. So we got to know how to display an image from the internet. We put the alt attribute. What if the image is not being displayed onto the screen? You go with the alt attribute and say that this was the image that was there before. Now what if, let's go back and let's try to work on the same file itself, and let's open up the terminal. Let's start the live server. We know, right, that's a basic thing. The reason why we are starting live server is simple, because I just don't want to press save and refresh all the time. Instead, when I save the file, I want it to refresh it by itself. So right here, let's see the output. Once if we get to see the output, then only it will be easy for us to understand what's the output. The file number is 08, so 8 images here. Okay, let's zoom out a bit. 110. it's just displaying a normal image, we went with the borders, right? We got to know what a border is. But now what if I want the border just for this image itself? You know, one concept where we can write inline CSS giving an attribute over here. If you want image border for just this image, then you can go with style equals to border, and that would be an easy task. But what if you want one single image to have a border, and that image is being repeated in all the pages? It will be like typing a lot of code all the time, right? You're typing the same code for all the pages. Rather, what if you write a single code and try to use it in all the pages? It would be easy. Less lines of code, more faster the web page will work. More lines of code, the more time it will take to load. So what we need to do is less code, much faster. That should be our motto always. So in order to do that, there is a small thing called as ID. It's just like the ID for your college ID card. Let's take like a college ID card. It's called as a selector. Why is it called as selector? Because, for example, if you are having an ID, let's say you're of a university called ABC, and in that university your ID belongs to just you itself, right? The ID belongs to just you. So whatever thing that is pointing to that ID, it's like pointing to just you itself, and that ID is unique throughout the whole college. No other person will have your own ID. Yes, the person might have your name, that can vary from one thing to another, but ID will be the unique thing. So what we do is, if there is something unique in the page and you want the styles to apply to just that thing itself, then what we do is we give an ID. We say that this ID, and I want to apply styles to just this ID alone. So how do you do that? In order to do this, if the last thing itself I need a border, then what I do is I will open here. I will say ID equals to, let's give like internet image. Okay, I'm just giving a random thing so that the idea of this is internet image. The styles doesn't apply to internet image. The moment we give the ID as internet image, it's not displaying the styles. It's still the same thing. It's not refreshing. I mean, even though it's refreshing, you can see that only all the images are having borders. There is nothing differentiate, just because what we did previously was, here we said that for all the image tags I need a border and margin. But now what we are saying is that I don't want this border and margin to all the images, but instead I want that style and effect to be applied to just the image which is having ID called internet image. So what you do is copy this one, make sure the name is there properly, replace this with this one. Because it is an ID, it's not any other thing, it's called ID. See, here what we are doing is we are applying for a tag, body tag, image tag, HTML tag. So if you are applying styles for the tag, you should write as it is. If you are applying styles for the ID, then what you do is you write hash. Save the file and let's open it over there. You can see that just this image is having border now. It means that this ID, we said that it's unique and it's only repeated once. If you try to write ID to another image tag, let's see, ID equals to internet image, you can see there is an error over here. You can clearly see, because the ID cannot be used again and again. The ID, if it's used once, then it will be used once for all the website. So guys, don't worry about the other concepts. All the concepts that you are speaking about will be taught in a sequential manner, because this course is designed in such a way that only if you understand the previous concept, then only you can go on to the next concept. We don't see what I'm trying to say is that in today's video we'll be learning few basic HTML, few more in detail concepts, and then we'll try to display a website. But in the next class we don't go with the again HTML itself, we get to learn CSS, because there are few concepts, there are few tags in HTML that have been introduced later on. So those tags were having the attributes of CSS inbuilt with them. So if you want to use those attributes, you need to know what they are. You need to understand the styles, you need to understand the effects, you need to understand the logic. So that's why what we are trying to do is, once we'll try to understand the logic, you're good with the logic, and if you're good to go, then we try to implement the HTML tag which is using that logic, so that I don't have to explain it again and again. So don't worry about the canvas and all these things, because we will develop many websites. Too many concepts will be covered within this week itself. So you get to know all these things. Just be patient and don't worry about all the things. Leave those things to me and just concentrate on learning itself. Do not do anything, guys. Just go with the learning flow. Just follow whatever I say. It's enough. That's enough. Because if you want to implement Canvas, you can directly get the code from the internet. Once you understand what Canvas is and how it operates, it's easy for you. You just need to modify the existing code, right? Why do you want to write the whole code when you're getting it for free online? You just try to understand the concept and see that if I modify the line number 5, what happens? If you know those concepts, that's enough for a developer, because development is all about research and implementing it in a proper way. So we try to know the basics, so that in future if we try to implement the advanced concepts, we don't, we get to implement in a proper way. If there is an issue, we know that this is the place where it went wrong, because we are good with the basics. That's why I'm starting with the basics. Leave everything to me. Yes. So keeping this aside, now that you know, ID is like a unique thing. So ID cannot be repeated again and again. If you try to place the ID over there, you can see that an error message coming up. It says that you cannot use two different IDs which is having a same name. So ID is unique throughout the website. Just remember this one concept. So yes, now you know what an ID is. We gave styles depending upon ID. How do you give styles depending upon ID? It's just simple. Previously, when we applied, rather than using this, we said that for all the image tags, if it's a tag, like that, if it's an ID, put a hash in front of that and with the ID name. That's it. That's the basic difference that you need to know. And then if you have any queries regarding ID, then please do let me know, because we will be using this ID concept today a lot in a lot of places, because we are trying to develop an application today itself. We'll try to develop a website today. It will be easy with the help of IDs. So it will be interesting, guys, if you understand the ID concept. Next, this next tag what we are going to develop is the table tag. So yes, now table, as the name states, what is a table? Let me see. Table, HTML, 2 sections, yes. Okay, I just want to make sure I know what I'm going to say. Let me open up a paint, because you need to understand it, or else let's go with a word. Right, for example, yes, let's take this or this, which is good to see. This nothing is darker one. I want something that differentiates easily. Yes, something like this. No, we'll go with this. Yes. So if you can see the table over here, what happens is that this table is divided into two parts. The table and the topmost section is nothing but the heading part, and bottom section, these three things, three rows, are nothing but normal table information. So you can see this is the heading one. I'm sorry, it's because today I might not be able to type faster. I just cut my finger, so it takes time. So it's a heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, info dash 1 dash 2, info dash 3, and so on. So we see that this is separate compared to what this is. Just like the HTML itself, the table is divided into two parts. One is the table head and the second is the table body. So why I'm saying in that a way, because normally whenever we try to learn HTML, so we don't get to learn what a T head is and a T body is, because we directly write in such a way that they are easy, right? So what we do is, 1 minute. Yes, let's open up the file, the tables, yes, and let's open it up over here as well. See, I did a big mistake. Okay, let's open it in the new tab. It's empty. That's nice, it's good to go. So let's try to implement this concept. So the just like the HTML itself, the table is divided into two parts. So when we try to create a HTML, understand this guys, when we try to do a HTML file, first we created HTML and close the HTML. Inside that, it's divided into head, close the head, open the body, close the body, right? This is what we did. So what we do is we say table, and don't forget about the tab. It's good if you try to implement it. It's okay even if you don't try to implement it. If you want to type the whole code, it's okay. And then it's divided into T head and T body. It's just like the HTML thing itself. HTML, so table, head, T head, body, T body. So now what we need to do is we need to understand how this is arranged. Here we know that this info 1, info 2, info 3, these three things are in a single row. And heading 1, info 1, heading 2, info 2, heading 3, info 3, these things are in a column. So how a row and a column is divided? See, we know this is a row and this is a column, but how is that implemented in HTML? That's the main thing we need to know, right? So we say that every concept is having the same thing. tr, we say in the first table row, it means my first row is divided into three parts, which is heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. As that is a heading, we go with th. We say heading 1, and we try to do this, Control D, heading 2, heading 3. Let's save the file and let's open it over here. See, you can't see the difference between one heading to another heading, but you can see that they are being implemented in bold. It's not a normal text. If you want a border, there is an attribute called as border, space border equals to, for say, let's go with 2. So now we got a proper heading. What we do is we try to write info 1, info 2, info 3, but these three things are in body. Just this first row is called heading, so that's why we put all these three things in T head. But the next thing is these things come under the next row, that is information in the body. So what we do is we create another tr. In the second row we have td. So what td is that? It's saying that in one cell, see you get one cell. Let's say info dash 1 dd, 2 3. Let's save it. Let's open it over here. You can see there is a difference over here. As this is indicated as TH, you get a bold. This is indicated as TD, you don't get bold. It is displayed in a normal font. So this is the basic table concept that we are going to learn. So if you want to create another row, just duplicate it, save it. You see, that's how it is. And see, you can see that my width is over here itself, but what if I want width to occupy whole screen? Then what I can do is that, as I want the whole table to occupy the width, and table is a HTML tag, what I can do over here is I can say table width, I want it to be 100%. So depending upon whatever screen it is, I want them to be 100%. And now the second thing, if I look over there, I say that okay, it's 100%, but the information whatever is there over here, it's aligned on the left. I want it on the right. So okay, because when you can see that these things, info 1, info 2, info 3 are within a TD, so we can say that I want all the TD tags should have the text aligned at the center. And you can see the text has been aligned at the center. Okay, that's nice, but what if I want a table to have a color? Background color, I want it to have aqua. Okay, I want a table to have box shadow. Nice, right? Rather than displaying just basic thing. And if you want to add color, background color and all these things, differentiate, if you don't want the borders, then that's all right. But if you want to add a border, then you can add a border over here itself. You can say for the TDs, let's go, we say for a table row, for each table row I need a border for say I want a 2 pixel solid border with a black color, and I can't see those things. Let me remove this border. Oh yes, this border 2 pixels. Yes, so you get a proper color as well right now. So with this you get to implement a basic thing, but if you want to add a color, then it's up to you. If you want to add a color for TH, then you can add for background color for TH. You can just change these things over here depending upon which tag you want to do for. So now that you know you have designed this thing, we'll go and implement the second concept, which is called as row span. Okay, let's go to the slides. We just don't jump. See, the column head TH will be bold, and whereas TD will not be bold. It's a normal font, it's a bold font, right? So it's saying that border is 2, and we did these things, and so far it should be the previous week's concept, but still we learned a lot of things over there. That's why we couldn't cover the concepts. But let's do today, in today's class, what we'll do is we'll open up the folder. Yes, so once we got to know what a table is and what table consists of, such as T-head, T-body, TH, TR, TD, and these things you got to know, along with what a border is and how to apply the border, how to change the color of the table. Now you got to know all these concepts. The next concept is row span, column span. So we get to discover what a row span is, what a column span is, and then what links are, what are the different types of links, and then HTML entities. These are the concepts that we'll be covering today. Once we get to do these concepts, let's try developing a website. So the first thing is row span and column span. So what a row span is and what a column span is. First thing we are going to discuss over there is a column span. So if I have a table like this, and for example consider this as my table. I'm sorry for the lines over there, and I'm having a table like this. Even though the table is very bad to look, but still over here what's happening is that in the first row you can see that two rows are combined together, they are clubbed together. It's like clubbing two or more columns is called as a call span. We do that using a call span, and if you want to club two or more rows, then that's called as a row span. So that is what the definition means by. So to combine two or more columns, we get to use the call span, and this is called a pseudo code. It's like you write the code in text English format and you get to recreate that in HTML thing. So let's try to implement that concept. So yes, this is our input. Let's try to go along with the design itself. So we can see that it's the first thing is nothing but yes, these three things are T head and these things come under T body. So yes, let's say table. So table is having T head and T body. So now that you have a T head and T body, just give me a moment guys. So now that you have a T head and a T body, so the first row is having three columns, right? So we say T head, TH, and we say Control DD, save this. Okay, it's displaying over there. So we say the table is having a margin bottom of 50 pixels. I just want a gap between these two tables, that's why I gave a margin. So if you want a rounded borders, or if you want whatever it is, the styles that we learned from previous classes, you're good to go with that one. So yes, I'll create a table with a border equals to 2. So yes, I got three things, and in T body, where is the paint? 1 2 3 4, we have 4 rows, 4 columns and 3 rows. So we say in the table row I'm having 4 columns TD. So if TD into 4, you say and tab. This is the same thing that's being repeated over there. If you want, you can do in your way, but you can follow even this thing. The third row is having TD into 4 again. Heading 2, heading 3, info 1, info 2, info 3, info 5. Let's just do this so that we get to implement this easily. Eight, 9, let's save it, let's open it. It should be like this, right? First thing we had 3 columns, from the second row on we had 4 columns. but if you can see over here, the columns had not been merged. You see, it's been divided depending upon how many rows and how many columns you have mentioned. It's the same thing until and unless you say that I'm clubbing these two columns together as a single column. That doesn't say call span. And for which one you're having call span? For heading 3. So for heading 3 space call, and how many columns you're merging together? It's 2. Then you see, because of using call span, it has clubbed 2 columns into 1 column. So what's happening over here is that before, if you not mention the call span, it is considering that there are 3 headings and it is displaying 3 headings itself. But the moment you mention a call span, what it is saying is that it is taking this as a first heading, second heading. Because it is having a call span, it is becoming 2 more, it's adding 2 more. So 2 plus 2 will be 4. So you get a call span. And what if you want, so 2 plus 2 will be 4. So you get a call span. And what if you want to club these two things, info 1 and info 5? What you want to do that? That's nothing but the row. And thanks for that. Yes, let's go with the row span. So what we do is we will try to replace the same thing. We'll copy the same thing. Let's save that file, and you can see the output is same, but here I don't want to use the call span. 4. Now you can see this is a normal table for me. Here what I want to do now is that I want to club info 1 and info 5. So if I club these two things together, it should have a same name. It should not have two different names, right? So what we do is, let's say if we just want to display info 1 itself, and so in order to, you need to make sure you sacrifice info 5 and 1 2 3 4. Okay, let's go and create that one. The T body over here is having first row, sorry, tr into 3, 1 2 3 4. Okay, oh sorry, this is not the one which I wanted. The first tr will have 4 columns, right? td into 4. That's what I'm saying. So the second column is having a span, so we say row span 2, it's the same way, right? And the next thing is having the same thing, but right. But what's happening over there is we need to create one more thing as a td. And in the 1 2 3, it's 3. So you can see that the same thing has been recreated. So just by looking at the design, it's our job as a designer or developer and come designer, we need to know what these things are. So there was a call span over here, I mean over there, two columns together clubbed together, so we clubbed the two columns together using a call span, and in between there was two rows together using row span, and it's the same thing, call span over here, row span over there. Yes, so with this you get to know what a call span is and what a row span is, and you try to do it in a much complex way. Try to recreate whatever you want to do and put the background colors if you want. So how do you put the background colors? It's easy, right? See, you can see over here you're getting like a double border, because for everything you're getting like a border, right? What if you want a single line instead of double border? There is something called as border collapse, as collapse. So we say, if I say that, for example, if I say for my table I want a border collapse as collapse, you see it's being collapsing to all the borders, all the tables over there. But what if I just want to collapse it for the last one itself? For that, what we do is we say for the last table, we say space id equals to last table, as that is a last table. Oops, something has opened, sorry. As that is a last table, so we say highest, which is hash last table. For the last table I want the border to be collapsed, so everything will have a double border, just so that it is independent, it's a unique thing. The border collapse is just for this one itself. And if you want some more additional effects, then you can just add the styles and effects that we have learned in the previous classes. It's easy and it's like a task for you to implement it. Now that you know what a row span is and what a column span is, if you have any queries, then please don't hesitate to ask me at any moment. Once this slide comes up, I'll make sure to look at your queries and look at the comments and see that if I could solve using the concepts that have been taught today, then I'll solve it right away. So by assuming that there is no more queries, so what I'll do is I'll just jump with the next concept, which is called as HTML links. These HTML links are also called as hyperlinks or hypertext. As the HTML name suggests, hypertext markup language, it's like connection between the words, connectivity between one word to another word or a group of words to another word. It's like jumping from one place to another. For example, let's take a textbook, and what if you are searching for a word in the textbook? At the end of the page you get to know all the words and where these words are implemented, I mean in which page number these words are being used. So depending upon those things, what we do is we just jump back to the word. Or else, what if you're like searching for a chapter name? So for example, you're searching for a chapter name developer in the textbook, and if that chapter is on page 500, so you go to the index of the page and see where the developer is. If it says that it's on page 500, you go and open the page 500 to get the information about that one. So in that same way, we try to implement the same logic while developing a website. So here what we do is we try to develop a website using the same linking strategies itself. So in order to jump from one page to another page, rather than searching up where I can find these things on the website, on the site we are going to develop, what we do is we provide a link. We say that you don't have to search for anything else. If you just click on the link, then it's easy for you to find that respective page. That's the way of representing a link, and the link is represented using a tag. A tag is called as anchor tag, and it's having an attribute called href. So the next thing you need to understand is what are the different types of tags that are there to represent. So let's close this one, let's close the images, and let's open up the next file. Let's close this one. HTML links, it's neat and clean white. So let's try to design and develop what HTML links are. So it's asking you, the first thing is nothing but external link. So we create a h1 tag, h1, and say external link. So yes, what is a external link? So we got to know that the HTML links are represented using a tag, which is also known as anchor tag. So let's try to implement that one. So for a link to work, we say a and tab. Once you press the tab, you get the href as an attribute, as a by default attribute. And if you say that if I want to open a Google page, I will type in Google over there. Let's save it. Let's go over there, and you can see there is a link over here. But if you click on this link, it's not jumping to any page, it's just on the same page. Why? It's because you haven't mentioned which page it needs to go. The only reason, if you don't mention which page it needs to go, what happens is that whenever you try to click on the link, whatever the name it is, so it's just a name. If there is no link, then it's a waste of using this name as well. For example, we say http://www. google.co.in. Let's save the file and click on this. Cannot get. Okay, Control S, and you can see that the page has been jumped to this one. So if you don't want to do this, what you do is, let's search for Google, and once you get the URL, click on that one, Control C, copy it, and let's open the links, and what you do is, in this place, paste it. So it's saying HTTPS. So now that you got to know what a link is over there, you can directly click on this and it will jump to that page. So it's easy, right? But what's happening over there is that whatever link you're clicking on is jumping to a different website. When it is jumping to a different website, you don't want your users to go to a different website by closing your website. See, it's like it's 127.0.0.1. Let's assume that that's my website URL, and when I'm clicking on Google, it's completely quitting my application. It's not going to my website itself, but rather it's sending my users to the Google. But I don't want to send users to my Google. Then there is another concept that we'll learn in future what that is. So before doing that, we need to, this is called as an external link. External link is that thing that you link to other page, from your website to another page. And for example, what if I change this to Facebook? Let's save the file, let's open it over there. It's written as Facebook, and when we click on this, it's still redirecting to Google. It's not redirecting to Facebook, because what I mentioned over here is just a name, but that isn't the link. The link is this one, no matter what it is. If I say it is a developer, refresh, we'll go over there, you get the developer, but when you click on this developer, it's going to Google itself. So it's just a text over here. If I say a random word, it's a random word. If you click on the random word, but still it will go over to the Google itself. See, that's what. Okay, as it is an external link, we will keep the word as external link. So what we do is, we create another h1 tag, and get to learn what internal link is. Link or local link. So the second concept is a local link. What a local link is that? So let's take the website that I explained about my dad's website over there, right? So company's website. So over here, if you have a look, okay, it's taking time to load up the page, but still, okay, let's wait for it to load. So what I mean by local link is that until and unless this page, see, there is a lot of styles applied to this page, and all these styles to load and take effect onto the website to display it properly, it takes time, right? So the thing is, okay, let's try to understand the concept of local link. So what if I'm trying to create a website with all these 25 pages, right? That would be interesting. For example, if I say that, I'll say A, if you want to learn, no, paragraph tag output. For example, if you say it's a paragraph tag output, let's save it, let's go over there. We need to make sure we mention the link over there, right? So we say that as this file and all the other files are located in the same folder, I can directly give the name. This is what we learned in images, right? While displaying the image, if those things are in the same file, then it's easy for us to write just the file name. So we say that it's 02 underscore html underscore paragraphs dot html. Let's save the file over here. Let's go over there. Once we click, we see that we went to the paragraphs page, and we can go back again. This is called local linking. See, it's the output of our website itself. It's not the other website. So it's good. Even if the website users go to this page, it's still benefiting because people are staying on my page itself rather than going on to the another page. This is called as a local linking. But there is another concept called, if I want even the local link to open it in a new tab. How do you open a link in a new tab? There are a lot of ways, right? Right click, open link in new tab is the one way. Clicking the scroll button is the second way. Control button, press on the control and click the button. It still opens over there. So it's like you're practically clicking those things. See over here, if I click on the about us over there, what's happening is that it's just redirecting to its page itself. It's not going to the another website. If it's going to another website, then it would be a good thing if we provide the tag that we are going to learn in future. So keeping that aside, now you know how to do the local linking, right? If it's in the same folder, then directly write the file name. If it's in a different folder, then go depending upon which folder it is in and how to go jump backwards and move forwards. We got to learn all these things in the image concept. That will be the same targets itself. So the next concept is a link with target. So this is the concept that I was speaking about earlier. So what is link with target means? For example, let's create a link and we say that if I click on Facebook, http://www.facebook.com, let's save that and let's go over there, and if I click on this, it's opening, it's in the same page. I just don't want it to open in the same page. What I want to do is that I want to open that in a different page. Let's go with the Google itself rather than Facebook. Okay, so if I want to click on this Facebook, it will still go to Google because that's just a name. Let's replace this one with a Google. Let's save it. But what if I don't want to open it in the same page? What if I want to open it in a different page, but I don't want to click the middle scroll button? So what I can do is, there is a concept called target. So if you say target equal to underscore blank, it means that you are saying over there that I want to open it in a new tab, so it's opening in a new tab. It's good, right? Your website is still over there, so once they get to know all the information from this page, they'll close this page and then continue with the website. It's easy. So if you're either always make sure you know this thing, right? So whenever you're trying to visit an external website, make sure you put the target equals to underscore blank, or else people will jump from your website and try to prefer other websites. So that's a way that you need to understand all the time. So the next thing is, what if I want to have an image as a link? For example, let's take Amazon. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, let's leave it as it is. So if you look at over there, if I see there's a hand coming up, right? But here the cursor isn't anything. But once I go and click on watches, the image over there, it's opening up. See, these images are like the link. If I click over there, it goes to the products, and all this zooming thing is a jQuery thing. So we get to know about these concepts once we learn the jQuery, so don't worry about these things. So here for me, the text is not like a link, the image is like a link. Using an image and jumping from one file to another file. So what I can do over there is, here what we did, let's create a h1 tag and say image as a link. If I say that I want to visit Amazon website, what I do is I type Amazon over here, and I copy the URL over there, I paste it over here, I close it, and once I get to know this one, it's jumping to Amazon page. That's amazing because of the word. But now what I want to do is, I don't want to display the Amazon, but I want to display image. So if you want to display image, what you used to do, we go with img tag, and I don't have Amazon image, so what I do is I type Amazon, in Google, let's go with Amazon images. Okay, I'll go with this image, copy image address. You don't need to do that, right? You don't need to have an image. If you have an image address, that's enough. So if I click on the Amazon over there, it's going there. So now, rather than using text as a link, you used image as a link. That's amazing. You got to discover one other concept. So the next thing is how to do a download upon file. See, there are a lot of things. If you want to download a software, there is a lot of techniques in order to create a link as a download, but let's try to implement a basic concept. We see downloadable link. If we say that, so there is an attribute over here. This attribute is called as download. Download equals to name of the file. I want the file name to be notes. See, it's downloading a file over there. You don't need to provide a link. If you just provide what file it is, that's a downloadable file, right? So yes, and in few websites, if you go at the bottom, there is something called as move to top button, or a small button pointing upward direction, and if you click on that, it will go back to the home page, right? That's amazing thing. So what if, how to do that one? So if I want to go to the thing over here, if I say if I want to go over there, what I need to do is that I need to give an ID, and depending upon the ID itself, I can go over there. How is that possible? For example, if I say ID equals to ext link, and if I give, you know, this is the ID, right? Copy this, and for example, you say h1 example to move to top, and anchor tag hr, you say move to top. And where do you want to move? You want to move to a place called external link, and if you provide a hash, it says that it will go to over there. Once you click here, you see you're coming up, but it's like going like a flash, right? You need a smooth rolling up like this, but it's just jumping on a spot. So there is a concept called as a scroll behavior. So how to do that is that, so for the body you say scroll behavior as a smooth. We give that to HTML, right? You don't do that to body. You say for HTML see, you're getting a scroll behavior. It's going smoothly rather than jumping up like a flash. So these are the concepts that you need to know, because the only reason I'm teaching all these concepts, because today we'll try to develop a website. And okay, let's open the last concept for today, HTML entities. So what a HTML, because we will take like 25 to 30 minutes to develop another website, so that's the reason today's class will be faster pace. And make sure if I'm going much faster, just pause the video, do all those things that you need to do, and then jump on to the next part. Yes, so HTML entities, for example, if I want to print, this is a top level tag. Okay, let's open the HTML entities. Let's close the links. Let's close this one. Let's open the HTML entities. That's nice, neat. So yes, so if I want to print something like this is a top, okay, sorry, I need to print a paragraph, or else let's go with the heading itself. This is a top level tag. You're getting a proper thing, but what if I want to print something with the lower this lower angle bracket and upper greater than angle bracket? So what we do is we go this thing over here. See, as soon as I type over there, save the file, you don't get this one, because whenever you try to write it as a lower angle bracket over here, it will assume that the word next to it is a tag no matter what. And if you're having a higher greater than thing over there, it can print, let's see, but the lower one will always assume it as a tag. So you know that you cannot print that one, then how do you want to print it? So for each, what do we say, each symbol there is a representation available. So for example, if you have learned a programming language, any other programming language, you know that there are ASCII characters, and depending upon each individual character there is a ASCII code, and you try to represent that character onto the screen using the ASCII code. Similarly, there is a code for each and every tag, each and every thing. So for example, if I want to print a less than or greater than, there is something called %LT. So let's try to implement that one. So we say %LT with a semicolon, save it, and you see you get a less than symbol. Let's go with the next concept. We say %GT, and you got a proper thing. See, even though you saw that you cannot do it without these things, but there is a way, because there are few ways to hack a website. So these things, if these are validated properly, then there might be a problem in which they can easily hack your website. So in order to reduce those things, these validations will make sure you don't type these things as a username or these things as a password. So see, they will get through the validations, and we get to discover all those things once we try to develop a major application that is free to publish, ready to publish, sorry. So now that you know what ampersand LT is, what ampersand GT is, there is something called Microsoft with a registered. For example, you see, we try to create another h1 tag and say Microsoft, and there will be something called R as a registered. So we'll say ampersand reg. You get this one over here, but what if I want this R to be slightly up? Then it's easy, right? It's nothing but put a sup, enclose it within, that's it. You see, it's nice, easy, right? So for each and every symbol, just imagine there are so many symbols available. So you might be assuming that you know that reg is a standard thing, but why isn't there a tag? As we understand that reg is a standard symbol, you also have a copyright symbol, you also have rupee symbol, you have dollar symbol, you have whatsoever, you have so many symbols in this world, and you cannot have tags for each and every symbol. If you try to have a tag for each and every symbol, then just imagine how many tags will just HTML will have. So in order to reduce these things, what we do is we put this basic concept, so you can find these HTML entities online. So if it's a dollar or if it's a rupee, if you say for example shirt price is ampersand hash 8377 space semicolon space 300. See, this is how you represent it. Now that you know that how to represent a code, if you want to represent a copyright, then how you do is h1, you say there is something called ampersand copy. You see, you got a copyright over there. It's easy, right? So once you get to know what these things are and how to display these things, it's easy for us to represent them onto the screen. So the first thing is, let's try, now that we got to know all these concepts, let's try to implement all these concepts onto the project. So let's understand what a project directory is and how it is arranged. So this iframes and all, they will be covered once we finish this food website and all those basic things. What we do is, let's delete it, close this one, and understand the concept. See, my food website is having just one folder called as image folder, because it's having all the images over there. Now what I want to do is that I want to create a HTML file. So I'll create new HTML file and I'll say that my file name is index. In general, what happens is that index.html will be the by default executing file onto the website. So even if you don't mention to the web browser that you need to execute index.html as the home page, it will by default assume that index is the home page, and then your application will start from that page itself. So that's why make sure the main page is called index.html. And next, what I want to do is see what we learned so far. For example, if it's like this, we are writing all the styles over here. And what if we are trying to develop a bigger website? You don't write all the styles over there, right? What if only the styles part is covering like around 600 lines? It will make your HTML code look worse. But what if you write all the styling parts in another file and try to include that file into the HTML so that you just can use the concepts from that file itself? It's easy, right? So what we do over there is that you get to implement those things over here. So let's try to see what it is. Let's say h1 and say jobless developer. Let's save it. Let's Okay, I want that to jump into this one. Right click over there, you say open in terminal. Live dash server dash dash port equals to 9000. My default browser is Internet Explorer. That's the reason why it's opening it like that. So yes, so you got a jobless developer as a proper heading over here, and you say I want to create a style.css as a normal. I'll create a new file for CSS. So as we discussed in the first class, this style sheet is the CSS one. So what do you want that to be? Let's make sure it's styles.css. And if I say normally what we used to do for h1, if you want color to be red, what we used to do, we say that for h1 tag I want the color to be red. If I do like that, it's enough, right? Now I saved it over here. I will go back. It doesn't change, it doesn't even take effect at all. Why? The only reason is because if you see that you have styles, you have this HTML file, but where is the link between these two things? You need to link them, right? Only if you link it, you can use it. So the first thing what we need to do is in the head section, we say that all the configuration part or all the styles part we do in the head section. This is what we learned, right? So there is an attribute called, there is a tag called link, and we say that I want a link and press a tab button. It'll open up, it'll write down whole code over there. Now what file you want to link to this HTML file? I want to link this styles.css. Okay, but is the styles.css in the same folder or another folder? If it's in another folder, then there is another way to include it. But what's over there? You can see that these two things are in the same folder itself. So you can directly say styles and it will pre-fill for you. So you can say that now I want to include this styles over there. Now save the file, open it up, and you can see the styles have been applied to this h1 tag. But you haven't mentioned anything over here. Your application, your website looks good. Your HTML files looks neat. There is no styles written over here, but still styles are being applied. So it's like you are using an external file. So this is a third technique to include a CSS style onto your website. It's called external styling effect. So this is how external way. So we learned 3 ways in order to make sure to write down the CSS style. One is to write it over here, to open up a style tag and say that h1 should have this color. This is called internal way. And the second thing which we learned was here itself, beside the h1 tag we say style equals to, and then we write down the effect, that is called inline. And the third way to get a CSS file is using the link. This is called external. So make sure you go with the external because it's easy, right? If you put all the styles in one file and all the HTML content in another file, what's wrong with that? It's good to implement. It makes your code looks good, easy to understand. That's nice. Now let's not waste more of our time on just understanding what these things are. Let's try to run our project. The h1 is gone. Let's say I want the title to be food website. You got a food website as a title. Yes. Now you know what the folder structure is and how the images are being put over there. We need to create the design first, right? So what we do is we open up our good old Paint. So how do you want the website to be? First thing, this is my website. Okay, I want to divide my website into few parts. So for example, the first way I want to do is I want to display few links over here. Every time we see few things, right? And once I display the link over here, what I want to do is I want to create a h1 heading of the company website and a small h2 giving somewhat a detailed information. like a caption over there, and I want a paragraph over here explaining about the basic things. And once I get to know the paragraph, I want two images to be displayed over here with a good caption as well. This is the first concept that I want to implement. Then I will go with the another page, what I want to do and all. So okay, the first thing is we did the planning, right? We did the designing part. Now goes with the implementation part. Give me a moment, I'll just be back. Right. So the first concepts, let's start by demonstrating, designing, developing, sorry, whatever it is. So here I want links to be there over there. So let's all make sure this whole part is considered as one division. This links part is a one section, and we provided that I want links to be in such way. See, like home, burgers, fries, greens, noodles, and desserts. So what we do is we create a div tag, and this div tag is having how many links? 1 2 3 4 5 6 links, right? So a 1 2 3 4 5 6, I want the first link to be home, burgers, fries, green, noodles and desserts, I'm sorry if my naming thing is wrong. But I want a proper hash. See this pipe in between these names so that there will be a proper distinguishing. So what I do is, in the code after this I give a space, and this one I copy this and I paste it to all the things. Yes, that's nice. Now that I got all my links, so the one thing you need to understand is that whenever you try to do this, you start with a comment. I want to explain this thing as well. I consider that as a main navigation bar, so I say main nav bar. So now that I got to know that that's a nav bar, and the next thing is I want that to be over there. Okay, let's leave that as it is. The next thing what I want is a home section, and with the home section I want to create two things. Okay, let's do something like that. I want to create a home section. I want this whole part, this whole thing as one part called home. So the next part is I will say home section, and let's create a div tag with ID called as something. Let's leave that for now. Let's don't do that. Let's do the ID later on, and let's understand why I'm using the ID part over there. So now in this, the first part what I wanted was in this division one heading 1. So heading 1, And did I mention anything? Okay, it's yummy inside my tummy. Okay, let's name that as it is. Save it or go over there. Okay, it's red because I said in the styles.css that I want my colors to be red. Nice. I got a proper thing, but what if I want yummy and inside to be red in color and my tummy to be yellow in color? Easy, right? It's done using a span tag. Never forget that. SPA. So in this first span tag, I will add this yummy and inside. I create another span tag, and inside that I will add this one. So it's up to you how you want to do the programming part. I want this to be on a separate line so it's easy for me. Style, I want the color to be red, right? The color to be red, and this style. See, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to add the basic colors. Even the website looks bad, but still you're trying to implement the CSS concepts in a better way. Let's try to implement it. That's not a bad thing though. Right, you got to know this one, but what's happening over here is that I want a proper background color. I just don't want the white thing. So what I do is I go to styles.css. I say that my body should have a proper background color. So before doing that, let's go and complete our layout, right? Why do you want to concentrate on CSS first? Let's go and complete our HTML layout, then go with the styling parts. So the next thing is a small h2 tag. Below this h1 I need a h2 saying that welcome to our food world. So nice. So yes, no, you got this one, and then the next thing is I want a paragraph over here below this h2 tag. So let's go and try to add a paragraph. So what I do is from next time on I will try to implement this website beforehand itself, so that you get to look at the design layout and try to develop rather than looking at the paint and developing. It might be good thing if you look at the application itself and try to develop it. So it might take some time if that's the way we are going to develop, because this is just the development part that I thought of and I'm just developing it on the fly. So I wanted a lorem 40. Let's save it, and we see that there is a good paragraph over there, and below that what I wanted was to display two images over there. So okay, let's try to display two images itself, but you can see that this image is neatly arranged. The gap, the borders, the width, whatever is there, it's properly aligned, right? So if you don't want to implement the CSS concepts, there is a way to implement this. How you can do that is that you have an image and you have an image caption, these two things, right? So what we do is we create a table, a 2x2 table. One, two. What we do is we try to put one image over here. Let's assume Redis as an image, and this is image 1, image 2, caption 1, caption 2, right? I hope you understand what we're trying to implement over here. We're trying to implement a 2x2 table and we are trying to display it over there. So right, and you don't have T head and T body over here. You don't need a captions. You just need, you don't need a headings over here. You just need a text and an image to be displayed over there. So let's go with the 2x2 flow. So what we do is beneath that, let's open a table, and in that table, in my first row, there are two columns, right? So in that first column there is a image. That's what is being displayed over here. There is an image in first column. So what is the image? So in that image folder there is something called as main1, main2. So this image is located in img folder. So, and the index.html is in another folder compared to this one. So from image.html, sorry, from index.html, I need to go to img tag. So in this src, what I do is I type img. Inside this img folder there is something called main1, right? Save it, and if you try to look it over here, you can see that the image is like displayed so big, right? I don't want the image to be this big, I want it to be small. So what I say is I give another attribute that we learned, width equals to 500 and height equals to 300. Good, right? I guess it's once. Okay, let's see as like this. So the image is good, it's properly arranged. Let's try to implement the second image concept as well. So it's main2.jpg with the same properties. So you got main1, main2, and what's happening over there is that in the next row there are two captions. It's nothing but text, right? So in the next row, in the next tr, there are two tds. In the first one, for example, let's go with something called awesome ingredients. And these are just for namesake. So you got these two things as well. Now that you know, I want what I say is that beneath this one, let's go and decide the beneath layer. I say that there will be one paragraph over here. I even need another paragraph over here. Beneath this caption, I need another layout. So I need another paragraph beneath these two things. So what I do is, outside the table, as whole thing is considered as a home section. See, from this part, welcome to our food world, where no, from the h1, starting from h1 itself, from yummy inside my tummy, from here to the whole thing is considered as one part. It's called home. Okay, now so what I want to do is, I want a paragraph beneath that. So I'll say lorem 40 tab, save it, and nice. Now that you got a proper paragraph, now let's start adding style effects for these things. I want this thing to be at the center and so on. So if you want a background color, so let's go with the body. If I say background color, what we learned so far, background dash color, we learned something that single color is there all the time, right? But what if you want a combination of colors? There is something called linear gradient. But you don't go with the background, you say I want the background to be linear gradient. So in which combination you want a layer? I mean, you want in a slanting colors, applying colors in a slanting way, you want apply to colors in a straight way, horizontal way, vertical way, which type you want to apply. I say that in a 45 degrees angle, 45 degrees, oops, in the 45 degrees angle, I want a color to be in a combination of light green. Okay, let's go with light cyan. Okay, light cyan is that color, and then let's go with some coral, comma, light cyan. Let's see how it looks like. I hope that isn't bad. Okay, and the next thing that we need to know is it's okay, right? The color is okay, a bit okay. Now that you understand what a linear grid, it's applying in 45 degrees angle. What if I want in 135 degrees angle? Just replace that one, and you see the slanting is from right to left. Let's go with 45. I want from left to right. It's up to you how you want to implement these things and all. Leaving that aside, I want the whole text to be at the center itself. I don't want all these things. So what I do is I say text align. Good, right? The text is at the center. You get the links in the center, you get the h1, h2 and these things at the center. That's nice. I don't like this font. I want to change the font. So what I do is font family, it's Comic Sans. Let's go with this one. It's good. Now I like this compared to what it was before, but I want h1 to be of different font compared to what it is used all over the website. So what I say is that for h1 alone, for h1 tag alone, I want a font family to be, let's say, Castella, which is from sans serif. Okay, this is something good, but I want the size to be increased. I want the text size to be a bit bigger. So font size, let's say I want the size to be 40 pixels. Let's save it. That's nice. You want a 50 pixels, go with the 50 pixels, not a problem. Nice. Now that you got a proper h1, what I wanted to do is, welcome to our food world is a h2, right? I want to add some box, a background color, a margin or padding, so whatever these things. Let's make it look good. So what we do is we try to develop one HTML part first and try to implement the styles next, and then try to develop the next HTML. What our main target is that we want all the styles to be same throughout the website. Then only it will look good, right? If the first page is having a image with the square borders, and if the second page is having image with the round borders, it should be something different. These two images should be of different categories or different perspectives. But if all the images are same, belongs to same category, that is food, and if you're trying to differentiate between it just to demonstrate your style effects, that will make website look bad. You need to make sure the website follows a good and a correct layout throughout it. Nice. So I want let's keep on working one after other, right? Then only we get to discover things in a sequence way. So now I want some background color from welcome to our food world. That's a h2 tag, right? So for this h2 tag, let's say I want a background color. Now that we understood the linear gradient, let's try to do the linear gradient itself. Linear gradient of 45 degrees. Now I want dark red, black, and dark red. Oh, okay. My text is not being visible properly, so color is the property of text and I want it as white. Now you can see it, but I want a space inside the box. So what we do, padding, for example, let's say I want 15 pixels padding. That's nice, but it's occupying the whole page. If you see as a banner, if you assume it as a banner, then what you do, I want that to be limited, right? I don't want it to be the full screen. So for that, what I say is that width, I want a width of 800 pixels for say. Okay, and there is something called border radius that we learned. For example, border radius, if I say 50%, okay, we get something. If I want that to be at the center, there is something called margin and auto. Don't worry about this concept, this margin auto. It will be taught to you guys once we start the CSS concepts. That will be from the next class itself. So now that you know how to do this thing, let's add a bit of shadow so that it will make it look interesting. So we go with the box shadow, 0 0 10 pixels black. So you have a proper shadow. Okay, now that I got to know about this one, what I want to do is that I want this image to be at the corner, right? See, I got a paragraph, two different paragraphs, they are there. I got this h2 tag, it is there, h1 tag, it is there, the links are there. I want the image to be properly aligned. It should not be one beside another. So it's in a table format, right? What if the table width is 100%, the one which we executed before? It will be the width will be the whole width of the screen, right? So what we do is we give the table width as 100%. So we open up the table. So we say for the table tag, first thing, I want the width to be 100%. See, amazing, right? You get to do these things by yourself. But let's say I want my image to have a rounded borders. Okay, let's do that. I want my image to have a border radius. For example, what do we say? Border radius of 20%, 20 pixels. Let's go with 20 pixels. Good. It's proper, right? It's nice. It's displaying properly. But if we have a box shadow, it will have a good effect. Okay, 0 10 pixels, 10 pixels, solid, black. Wow, nice, right? It's displaying it properly. So now that we know we are displaying an image properly, or else let's go with 0 0 10 pixels itself, because it's like, yes, okay, any shadow effect will do good. So now that you got to discover and develop something like this, let's go and design our second layout. See, you see, these are so many effects over here, and if you try to implement everything in a HTML page itself, this will be more than, see, for now it's like 55 lines of code, and this is like 30 lines of code. It will be 85 lines of code just by adding those two things, and your code will become so big. It's better to include those things. So my home division is done. This is my home division. I want to create another division. In that division should be depending for only burgers. So it's like I'm dividing the page into few parts. It'll just creating a single web page, single page itself. Now what I'll do is I'll delete it. I will create a second layout for burgers. What I want in a burger is that I want a h2 over here. I want a paragraph over here, and I want 4 images properly arranged. With these 4 images, obviously I need a 4 captions as well. They are at center, assuming that they are at center, and then conclude it with another paragraph. So this is our layout. This will be our burgers collection bonanza, or whatever it is. So we'll create another div tag, and we create another h2 tag according to what we thought, and we say burgers collection bonanza. You don't have to give the styles, right? Because for everything it's predefined. You have already mentioned it over there, right? Thanks, man. Thanks for following up with me. I hope the concepts are clear so far, because it's like we are trying to implement the concepts that we have learned. So just by implementing the concepts we learn, we are trying to create an application. It's easy to do that though. So now that we know what a burger collection bonanza is, it's a h2 tag, and h2 is having the same styles that are being applied over here. So it will be like your whole website is having the same effects that are being applied. It will make your website look good if all the effects are correct, proper. Then beneath the h2 tag, what is there? I need a paragraph over there. Okay, so let's create a paragraph tag saying lorem 40. Let's save it and open it over there. You got over there. See, it's a problem for me. I'll say that for body I want a margin bottom. Please make sure you remind me guys about this one if I forget it. It's just that I want a space beneath, that's why I'm giving like that. So I have a burger collection bonanza. There is a paragraph. I need a 4 images along with 4 captions, so it's easy, right? The only thing we need to do is we need to create a table, as this whole thing is a burger collection, right? So we'll say we create a comment saying that it's a burger section, just so that we need to understand which section we are developing. So if there is a differentiation, for example, see, let me zoom out a bit. It's saying that it's a home section, here to here is a home section, from this page to this page is a burger section. So it's depending on, based on the division part itself. Where the div tag ends, there the burger section ends. So for me, there is a lot more to develop in the burger section. So yes, the next thing is I need to create a table, right? So I'll say I'll create a table, and this table is having of 2 rows, so tr, and first every row is having 4 columns, td into 4, and another tr with the td into 4, and you would need image over there, so we say img tab, so we say caption 1, four, 3, 2. Yes. So you got a caption over there, you need to display the images, right? So let's say for burgers, I guess, let's go and look in the images. There is something called bread 1, bread 2, bread 3, and burger 4. Let's go with that one. So in the images folder, there is something called bread 1. Image folder, there is called bread 2. In the image folder, oh sorry, it's not tab, it's called bread 3. In the image folder, there is something called burger 4. Nice. But you can see that these images are so big because you haven't mentioned the width and height, right? So what we do is that we give a width and height for this as, like, let's assume 300 by 200. Let's try that one. If that's still big, let's increase it more. Width equals to 300 and height will be 200. Oops, it's good, right? This size is good. So what we do is we copy this one, it's good, right? It's good to see that one. So, and beneath this, all the effects you don't need to add for these things again and again, because you have already defined that for all the image tags I need these to have. So now that you know what a width is, what a height is, and how you have applied these things, let's go with the next designing part itself. There is a paragraph tag beneath these captions. So what I do is, beneath these captions, after the table has been done, I create a lorem 40, and that's it. This will conclude my burger bonanza part, right? It's nice. And The next part is fries. So let's create the fries in a similar way. But how do you do that? You say you copy from here to the burger section. You say paste it and say it as fries section, and let's replace the h2. Say fire see it's these things are being copied, you know, this text, all these things are from live websites, so don't think wrong of me with our fries. So yes, you have this thing, but you need to change the images, right? Just the images. So what we do is, in the images folder there is called fries, fried, okay, let's go with fried itself. Fried 2, fried 3, fried 4. Okay, now that you got to know about fries, so let's try to develop the next part, that is green. So it's just a proper way to understand and analyze what these things are. So now that you get to know what these things are, so let's try to just copy this one and see that even the green will be the same part. Let's assume it in such a way. So we say green section and we say so yes, and then we need to know what images are green 1 to green 4. Okay, nice, you got all the greens as well, right? So the green section has been done. The next thing is noodles and finally desserts. So the only reason I'm trying to do these things is because it will be a continuous practice, because I know how to develop this website. I'm just copying and pasting it, but what you guys will do is you just don't copy paste it, you try to recreate it by yourself. If you do that, that would be a good thing, right? That will be easy for you to understand those concepts, huh? So the next thing is noodle section, right? So make sure you mention these things over there. So in the noodle section, what we'll say, do Google and eat noodle. Amazing, right? And then what's there in the noodles? I guess it's other 1, other 2, other 3, other 4. Let's try that one and see. Sorry about the name, other underscore 1, because it's just 2 parts left, so that's why I'm assuming other as the noodle section. Oops, control Z. So nice, you got the noodle section as well. So what's the last section left? The last section is the dessert collection. Let's say it says a dessert collection. It's nice. I'm sorry if my words are bad, my spellings. So we say that enjoy the desserts. That's enough, right? Nice. Now that I got to know what this is, so there is one last thing that I want to do. Now that I know what this is, what is the last thing I wanted to design is a footer for a website. The bottommost part is this one, right? So I want to create a footer. So how I want the footer to be is, for example, let's take the red color. I want this bottom part to be as a footer. In this footer, I want here one section to have a links, all the links that I mentioned over here on the top of the website. I want these links to be at the bottom itself. Along with that, about that, I will write some text about copyrights and all these reserved for jobless developer or something like that. Because in every website there will be a copyrights page, there will be a links page, I mean the links thing in the footer. Along with that, a basic h1 h2 things, right? These things I wanted to display it onto the screen. Let's try to display the footer part. So in order to start a footer, let me remove this bottom margin because I need the footer to be the final thing. So or else I'll create a margin bottom of 100 pixels. The reason I'm saying it's as 100 pixels because there will be a jobless developer logo at the bottom left, right, so it might be a problem for you guys to have a look at that one. Assuming that it's all right, let's say that we are going to develop a footer section. Yes, so make sure you write all these things, right? So first I want to create a division. So how I want the layout to be is that I want create a h2 tag, because we are having nice effects over here, right? I want the same effects to be displayed over here as well. So in this h2 tag I'll say that copyright, and this HTML entities we learned, right? Ampersand copy will be for copyright C 2020 comma, let's say yummy side my tummy. It's good, right? We say this is the copyright, and beneath that what we say, all rights reserved, like just a small paragraph tag saying that all rights reserved, and then I'll create another paragraph tab, developed by, and then here what we'll say, or instead of developed by, we'll say developed and maintained by. That would be a good thing to write, right? Maintained by, and I want a link beside it, so I'll create a tag. I will say that I want that to open in a new page, right? Because I'm opening some other website, so I'll say that target equals to underscore blank. I'll say jobless developer, and I will go and create a YouTube link for jobless developer. That would be a good way. Right, so I got a proper thing. What's that? Okay, I got a proper layout over there. Beneath that I want to create the same things like the URL, right? But here if you see, everything has been done according to the design. I'm happy with the design, but my links doesn't work, right? If I click on home, it should come on this part. If I click burger, I want to go to the burger collection. If I click on the fries, I need to go to fries, but it isn't going. But we learned how to do that with the help of ID. So what we do is, for all the divisions, see, this is a home section, right? We'll say ID equals to home, and here I can say that if I click on this home button, it should go to the division with the ID name as home. Good, right? Easy to understand. And we'll say div space ID equals to burger space ID equals to fries space ID equals to green space ID equals to noodles I'm sorry if the naming is wrong space, and that's it, right? There is nothing else left for us, and we need all these links to be properly there. See, I need the links to be properly mentioned. So if it is a burger, hash burger hash fries hash green hash noodles hash desserts. Let's save it, and if I click on burger, it's jumping to burger section. Okay, let's go back. Green, it's going to green, right? Nice. If I go desserts, it's going desserts. But see, it's like going on a faster way. It's like jumping, right? Like a flash. What I want is, I want to go, if I click on a link, it should go like this in a scrolling way, in a smooth way. So for that, what we do is, in the WebStorm, in the style.css, so I want that effect to be applied in my HTML. So I say in the HTML, that is nothing but a scroll behavior. I want the scroll behavior to be smooth. If I type this, if I click on fries, see, it's nice, right? Rather than jumping directly. Noodles, nice. So according to my layout, I need a link in the bottom, right? So what I do is, I'll just copy this code over there and replace it at the bottom. Okay, let's copy the code and replace it over there, and we say that we copy these links as a div. I will even copy this line, and beneath the footer section, okay, beneath the footer section, what I'll do is, I will create a bar saying that, okay, I'll create this thing, I'll save it, I'll say right, click on the burgers, it's going up. That's nice. So now that what I'll do is, I will remove this margin bottom, so this will make sure my footer is properly being at the bottom itself. You got this thing, right? But what I want to do is, I don't want to display my link, whatever is there over here. I don't want the underlines. I want this text to be white. So what I can do is that there is a tag called a tag. Obviously you're using style effects to the anchor tags, right? So I'll say, I want for the anchor tag, for the link, what I want the color to be, let's go with the dark color because it's a light background. Okay, it's sad that I'm not able to get a good color. Dim gray. Let's try this one, save it and see. Okay, but what if I don't want the underlines, right? What if I don't want that one? That's called as a text decoration. Text, oh, decoration, I want it none. If I, oops, Control C, if I save that, see, there is no underline, but still that's a link, that acts like a link. The decoration is not there, that's it. The underline is not there, the color, we changed it. So with this, you have a good website. It's nice, it's looking good. So what if I don't want the border to be like this? I want it like a banner. I want it a proper banner. So what we can do is the borders apply from here, the top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. This is how the borders apply. So for this one, for example, I want only top to be as a rounded border, bottom to be as a rectangle shape. So 50%, 50%, 0, okay, 0 pixels, 0 pixels. Oops. You see, top left starts from top left, top right, bottom left. So it goes in a clockwise direction. So this is how, see, it's being applied to all these things. And if you want a white border at the bottom, even though if it doesn't look good, but still let's go with that one. Border bottom, at the bottom I want it to be white. Oh yes, I forgot, sorry. A border is having first thing is what's the width. I want 3 pixels, a solid border which is white in color, so you get a border, right? So first thing will be the width of the border, second will be the what's the type of the border you want. Let's go with 5 pixels so that we can get to see it properly. Yes, with this we have concluded our first food website. So guys, this is the one which we wanted to develop for today. It's amazing, right? Even with the concepts that we just learned in just 3 days, we had developed a website by ourselves. Just imagine, by learning a basic CSS concept, we got to develop this website. But what if we learn a lot of concepts, CSS3 and HTML5 concepts, bootstrap concepts, and depending upon each and every concepts which we learn, we try to implement this in a proper way. So I hope you guys had a wonderful time just by looking how easy it is to develop a website once you understand the basic concepts. So I hope I created a slide for that, copyright and a footer at the end. Yes, well done. Now we have developed a website by ourselves, and try something out by yourself as well. So before you come by tomorrow's class, you try to play this video again and again, how many times it is, because it's a free to use, free to view image. I mean, sorry, a video. This is a free to view. Try to recreate the website. I have created a food website. Try to create a movie website, a laptop's website, a college website, different groups, for example, different groups and whatever it is. If you want, you can create a lot of things just by using the basic concepts. As so far we haven't learned the advanced CSS concepts, we tried to implement the table concept to display the image onto the screen with a proper border structure and all these things. If you guys have any doubts, then please do ask me up at this moment, because I will be online for like 5 more or 10 more minutes, and if you have any doubts, then I will be more than happy to solve it at the moment. And if it is about the concepts that I haven't taught so far, then please don't worry about them. I will come back to those concepts in future videos. Thanks for watching today's videos, guys. I hope you had a great time. Even I had a great time in developing a website from scratch. So next time we will look into CSS. We get to learn the basic, continue the CSS journey, and then get back to HTML, learn more HTML concepts, implement them again, and we try to develop another website. So thanks for watching today's video, guys. Have a nice day. That's amazing, you guys have no doubts so far. Then please try to implement the concepts that have been taught in today's class. I hope it's easy to understand, and if you guys like the video, please go and like the video right at the moment, and if you guys didn't like the video, press the dislike button so that I get to improve myself in doing the live sessions. And if there is any other thing, then please do not hesitate to put it in the comments. I'll look into that one and come back to you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching.